Alright, in this video we're going to be looking at the lessons 9.1 to 9.3 quiz, so hopefully this will answer the questions that you have. But let's look at the first one. So the first one, it says, how many solutions would x to the 16th equals 8 have? Now remember, this is an even power function. X to the 16th would be, so if you want to think about it visually, x to the 18th would be an even power function, so it would look something like that. And y equals 8 would be a horizontal line going through where y is 8. And so these would have two intersection points. There would be two solutions here. All right, so this next one, it says when converting the third root of x to the 7th power from radical form to using a rational exponent, what would the exponent be? So when we're putting that as a rational exponent, it'd be the power over the root. So the exponent would be 7 over 3. So this one is asking how many solutions would x to the 7th equals negative 27 have? So x to the 7th, that's an odd power function. So that's going to look something like this. And y equals negative 27 would be a horizontal line down here. And so those would intersect at one spot. So that would just have one solution. Alright, so we're going to use the fact that the volume equals s cubed and the surface area of a cube is 6 times s squared. So we're going to use that information when they tell us that we have a cube with a volume of 300 cubic inches. So I'm going to put 300 for my volume and use that to figure out what the length of each side is. So I'm going to take the cubed root of each side. And so when you do that, so again, I'm taking the cubed root of each side. When we take the cube root of 300, we get 6.694. Now I want to use a lot of numbers past the decimal to be more accurate. So if you rounded this to 6.7, it might have meant that at first you might have got the answer wrong, but later I went back and might have given you points back. But it's really important that as we're working through an answer, that we make sure we round or we use a lot of numbers past the decimal. So then that way our final answer will be more accurate when we end up rounding it there. So we know that each side is going to be about 6.694 inches. So to find the surface area, we're going to take 6 times 6.694 squared. So when you do that, we get approximately 268.9, but we're going to round to the nearest inch. So it'll be about 269 inches. Would be your answer then. Alright, so here it says when converting 5 cubed to 125 from exponential form to logarithm form, in the form log base b of a equals x, find the values of a, b, and x. So for some of these, it's maybe easier to write it out and then put the numbers into the answer. So our base would be 5. Our value is what it's equal to, 125, and it equals its exponent, which is 3. So my a value is what I have there in parentheses, 125. My b value is my base, which is 5. My x is the exponent, what it's equal to, so that's 3. Alright, so this one we need to find the exact value of 16/9 to the negative 3/2 power. Now what I like to do is I like to make that exponent positive by taking the reciprocal of the base right off the bat. So I'm going to just do that. So by taking the reciprocal of the base, that makes the exponent to be a positive exponent. Now I'm going to take and apply the root. Let me write it this way. And then the power afterwards. Okay, so we're going to take both the numerator and denominator, take the square root of it, and then cube it. So the square root of 9 is 3, and then we'll cube that. Square root of 16 is 4, and then I'm going to cube that one. And so when I cube 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. And 4 cubed would be 64. That can't reduce at all. If it could have reduced, we'd want to reduce it. But it doesn't reduce, we just leave it as 27 over 64. Again, a decimal answer, I can't give you any credit for that because to me that just says that you just plugged it in your calculator. Alright, so for this one, this is a logarithm equation. We need to solve for x. So I have log base 3 of x equals 5. Alright, so my base is 3, and I have the logarithm by itself, so then I'm stuck. And if you're ever stuck, change the form it's in. So right now it's in logarithm form, so I'm going to put it in exponential form. So my base would be 3. Remember what a logarithm equals is your exponent, and the value would be what it equals. So we'd have 3 to the 5th equals x. Now 3 to the 4th power, I have that one memorized. 3 to the 4th power is 81. So 81 times another 3 would be 243. That's an easy way to do it in your head. So we'd have 243 would be your answer for x. All right, so this one we're rewriting it to be an exponential form. So if it's an exponential form, the way it would look is we would have our base, which is x. Our exponent is 5. The value is 1024. So it's not asking us to solve anything here. It's just asking us to rewrite this in exponential form. So we would do x, and then our caret button 5 equals 1024. All right, so now this one asks how many solutions does x to the 18th equals negative 16 have? So let's look at that graphically. So x to the 8th, it's an even power function, so it's going to look something like that. And y equals negative 16 would be down here. So these do not intersect. So if you put 0 here, that would be correct. Or if you typed in the word none, notice that would fit as well, and that was also correct. So either 0 or none would work for that answer. All right, so this is another one we have to simplify. So again, I see a negative exponent, so I like to make that positive by just taking the reciprocal of the base. So 1 over 125 would be raised to the 1/3 power, meaning the third root of all of that. Well, the third root of 1 is just 1. And what cubed, or what's the third root of 125? Well, that would be 5. So your answer here would just be 1/5. Okay, so this one, I'm trying to figure out what exponent we'd apply to 7 to get 1 over 49. Whoops. So if you notice, I'm going from it not being a fraction to a fraction. So that tells me that this exponent has to be a negative. Because if it's a negative, we take the reciprocal of 7, which should be 1/7. Now I've got to figure out, well, how can I get change from 7 to 49? Well, 7 squared is 49. So 7 to the negative second power would be 1 over 49. So our answer here would be negative 2. There's another logarithm problem to work out. So now we have log base 3 of 81. So I want to figure out what exponent would I apply to 3 to get 81. Well, I know 3, so this is one you should memorize. 3 to the 4th power is 81, so your answer would be 4. Here's another one where we have to find the exact value. So again, I'm going to take the reciprocal of 32, which would be 1 over 32. That makes the exponent positive. Now I'm going to break that up into the root. Whoops. Break that up into the root. And then the power. So the 5th root of 32 is 2, because 2 times itself 5 times would be 32. Now I'm going to cube all of that. Well, 1 cubed is 1, and 2 cubed is 8. So our answer would be 1/8. Again, I'm not looking for decimals here, because I don't care if you can type it in your calculator. I care about making sure that you know how to simplify that by hand. All right, last problem. We're going to solve for x. So we have, I'm going to change this to be, so one way to do this would be to change this to exponential form. So we would have x to the 5th power equals 1024. So you might recognize that as one of the problems that we had earlier. So here we're actually going to solve it. So to solve this, I would take the 5th root of both sides. And the 5th root of 1024 is going to end up being 4. So 4 to the 5th power is 1024. So log base 4 of 1024 would be 5. So your answer here would be 4. All right, so hopefully that answers all your questions from the quiz. If you still had some questions or aren't sure how to do some of these problems, please don't think that those problems will just go away on their own. Please make sure you reach out to me, because I'd love to help you out. I'd love to make sure you know what to do going into the next part of this chapter.